Okay, so where did that diamond come from? Carbon, exactly, not Antwerp. Antwerp is the town in Belgium, I think, where they harvest, right? All the diamonds. So they come from carbon, but how does that work? And what is carbon? This is charcoal. Basically, carbon is a C. You remember, anybody here take chemistry? Remember your day? You had the periodic chart? It's a carbon. So it's basically, this is trippy, but stay with me. This is amazing because this is the foundation of what I want to share with you. Carbon is just an atom. And what is an atom? But it has a central particle, a central piece to it. It has a neutron, it has protons, it has electrons. Do you know that an atom is 99.99% empty space? Think about that for a minute. What are you made of? Atoms. Here, this is a cool fact. It's so cool. I'm going to stand up. If you were to take a Winnebago and stick it in the center of Utah, and you were to place a tennis ball somewhere in Utah, that would be an atom with an electron. That much empty space. Isn't that wild? So, hold that thought. Transmutation, alchemy. What happens to that carbon that makes it a diamond? Does anybody know? Stress. Who said stress? Cool, great. You're on it. I can see it. Good. Stress, exactly. And what? Just tell me what kind of stress. You had something too, didn't you?
Pressure.
That's right. Pressure. That's it. So the pressure over a very long period of time is pressing in on these carbon atoms, basically dead dinosaurs in mud. Right? Dead dinosaurs in mud. And it's pressing and it's pressing and it's pressing and it's pressing. And there comes a point where a substance will either transform into something higher or it will break down. And this process is known as perturbation. Perturbation. Isn't that a cool word? Turn to the person next to you and say perturbation. Perturbation. It's not. That's a G-rated term too. Is my water over there? You know my water? Oh, it's okay. I got it. Yeah, perturbation. Here's a good example of when perturbation goes bad. Are you ready?
Sorry.
Opera singer with wine glass sings, very powerful note. What happens to the wine glass if she hits it in just the wrong way? Bam, it shatters. But there's also perturbation where so her voice waves, her acoustic waves are literally moving the molecules in there so much so that they break apart. And instead of energy coming together to form something new, energy kind of breaks apart and it goes somewhere. That's disease, that's breakdown, that's stress affecting us when we don't have the inner resourcefulness or inner reserves to take pain, to take struggle, to take breakdown, to take what we've been through and turn it into something else. Whether that's a physical, mental, emotional, or nutritional thing. You with me? Does this make sense? Now here's how it works well. Over time, that pressure is pressing down on that carbon and it turns into something else. It actually transforms the nature of these atoms and molecules and creates a perfect crystalline structure, which is the strongest thing we know of. And it's also the clearest. A perfect diamond is perfectly clear, and if it was flattened out, you could see right through it. You wouldn't even know you were looking through something. It's the perfect metaphor for us, human beings, in their glory. I believe everybody has a hero or heroine within. And I don't say that to be trite, but I believe everyone has genius within. And when that emerges and when that flourishes and when that comes out and it comes through, people are diamonds. They are strong. And I know people who've been through the worst of the worst. Whether it's a physical, mental, emotional, or life crisis, I've seen people transform, transmute, and rise. But they have this something inside of them that all of you have. They have this organizing intelligence inside of them that all of you have. And a diamond is also the most valuable. Are there any jewelers in the house? You seem to be really on it when I'm talking about diamonds. You're not a jeweler? Okay. Okay, good. So is my chemistry okay so far? Yes. And feel free to elaborate if I miss. So that's a diamond. It's the most amazing thing. It's really an incredible process. It sits in pressure and it sits in dark. And it feels like it's underneath. I mean, it's like not even seeing the light of day, but it's being transformed into something. I don't know if any of you have been through a time in your life where it feels like it will never end. The pain will never end. The stuff will never end. The pain will never go away. Did you know that on a random thought, but this is also not random so much. Do you know how long bamboo will stay underground before it blooms sometimes? Bamboo seed underground. A long time. Years. A long time. A long time. So, yeah, it's like it can be anywhere from a few days to 7 years. But imagine it's underground, it's waiting. It's like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Meanwhile, it's spreading.
No, it's still. But then something inside, there's just the intelligence of it. It pops, and bamboo can grow inches a day. In fact, sometimes you can hear it. And you can make buildings out of bamboo. And it's super flexible. The stiffest tree is the one that always breaks. And our resistance to life is that stiffness. Let me give you one more real-world alchemy situation. Anybody like butterflies? Mm-hmm. Butterflies are awesome. They speak to us because they speak to our soul, because they're a symbol of courage, and they're a symbol of what happens when you break down and what's possible in the breakdown. So how does a butterfly start its life? As a caterpillar. That's right. So a caterpillar is going along, and ostensibly all is well. It's got its leaves to eat, and its biggest worry is if a bird will eat it. So imagine it's got tons of leaves around it. It's got tons of leaves around it. It's got everything it needs. But that's not what it was born for. It was born to be majestic. It was born to express its genius. And its genius is not in accumulating leaves to eat and having lots of friends, worm friends, maybe some ant friends, a friendly spider, praying mantis. It was born to manifest something else, but its journey would require that it would have to lose everything, face total breakdown and bankruptcy. Right? Because what happens is, and more or less, as the caterpillar's genetic coding kicks in, its life, in my mind, would become quite inconvenient. It can't stop eating. It begins to gain tons of weight. It begins to break down. Nothing's working anymore. Caterpillars have no cognitive capacity that I'm aware of. But if I were a caterpillar, I'd be like, oh no, how do I go? I want my leaves back. I just want my buddies back. I want my life back. I want what it was back there. Can anybody relate to that? I mean, but it's been called. It has a calling. And what you read in the email is something that I said, is that our life itself is a crucible. The crucible is the bowl in which the alchemist would transform things. So life is this great crucible. A crucible, when you really enter into it, though, can be a very dark place. But that darkness and that crucible serves a very important role with surgical precision to remove everything that was never you to begin with. But you couldn't have gotten there unless you'd gotten to a place where you couldn't keep going as you were. Do you follow me? Does that make sense?